Yeah, I think the unique thing about country music, at least where it comes from, is, it comes from the country people, and from a very storytelling tradition. And so the music is deceptively simple. I'm talking about traditional country music. It's evolved, of course. That genre has evolved quite a bit. Most people are urban now, so country music still, at this point, feels more urban than country. But traditional country music is really of, by, and for people who live in the country, who by nature of that are generally fairly hardworking people, usually working in agriculture or, things like the oil fields and stuff like that. And I say it's deceptively simple. One of my favorite songwriters of all time is Hank Williams. And to a modern urban ear, it's easy for people to kind of dismiss Hank because it sounds, like I say, deceptively simple. It can, and sometimes that twangy sound, the Southern accent can leave people with the impression that it's kind of hokey. But Hank was kind of, to me, like Ernest Hemingway, in the sense that the ability to use very few words to carry a tremendous amount of weight. So, and Hank's songs were just stunningly beautiful in their simplicity, and exactly that thing, that each word carries so much weight that you just, a 2.5, 3 minute song, it kind of takes the wind out of you, if you, or at least me. That's my experience with it. And it does tend to be much more sort of direct. It's about what it's about. It's not as much engaging allegory and metaphor and some of the kind of songwriting that we started to see in the 60s with Bob Dylan and the Beatles and Paul Simon and those kind of things, which I also love dearly. I love the complexity of those things. But yeah, the sort of simple storytelling that just gets right at the heart. One of my other favorite songwriters, a current songwriter, Mary Gauthier, she said in an interview one time recently, and it really struck me. She said that, because I think the interviewer asked her, do you start with your audience in mind when you start writing songs? And she said, oh God, no. She said, you have to start with the deeply personal. And then if you can get to the deeply, deeply personal, you just might touch the universal. I thought, man, that's the goal for any of us who are writing in any form or fashion, and her songs are like that. So I think that's what resonates with me in terms of country music.
It's just incredible. Tim Alderson, the writer, he has some background in the music business, and he knew these writers. And these writers are people that, if you say their name in Nashville, people, know who they are. The average person doesn't, because they're primarily writers and not performers. That's roughly true. Some of them perform more than others, but Tim handpicked these songs from these several writers to fit exactly the play. And like I said before, there's several times in the show where the moment just would not work if the song doesn't just gut you and rip your heart out. And these songs do. There's also some music in the show from Johnny Cash and Hank Williams and Buck Owens, some classic country artists. But most of these songs the audience will have not heard before, and they will be susceptible to having their hearts, trampled by them.
So the amazing music and songwriters, several parts of our show are written by Mark Hurd, the songs, who, I might get this wrong, but our playwright was a dear friend of his, and he took the songs and built a story around his beautiful music. A lot of his songs are just like poetry. It sounds like if you're just reading it off the page, it sounds like Shakespeare almost. Just so beautiful and so poetic. Melody, catchy, it's all in all, just such good music. And I also believe our playwright, Tim, there's a song in there that he wrote too. And it was to connect a storyline, but majority of the music is Mark Hurd.
The music of Salvage, you know, and we say we are a play with music, not a musical. The lyrics, you know, I get made fun of by friends and family when a song comes on the radio, and I might start singing, and then there's a part of the song that I really don't know that well, and I'm like, yeah, but I have fallen in love with lyrics in a way off of doing this play that was because the lyrics of these songs are so gripping, so thought-provoking. Not only with the performances that they do, you know, when it's just a guitar. And so sometimes I feel when you just have something as simplistic as a guitar or a piano, and it's just one instrument playing behind you, and you hear that song, oh, so the music is so dynamic. But once again, those words, the lyrics and what they're expressing. Tim Alderson was so purposeful in his writing, and we strive to honor that, you know, with our memorization, our learning, and delivery of the text, to honor that writing, and they honor that, you know, because it all coincides. So the lyrics coincide with what's being said within the play. It's not a standalone, you know. It's so cohesive and as one. I love it. I love the music of it. And even if, you know, because there's a little, I guess you would say, you're trying to say a genre like a country, a little bit of folk, but even if that's not necessarily your vibe, this music will still grab you. This music, I trust and believe. Yeah.
So the music in Salvage comes from a couple main contributors in Mark Hurd, Pat Terry, and some additional lyrics by our playwright Tim Alderson. And it is really special music that is, the way I've been kind of thinking about it is it's like anti-pretentious. It's very inviting and very kind of, you know, here it is, and take from it what you will. And the words are very arresting, and the melodies are deceivingly simple at first, but they're very just kind of warm and inviting. And it's a really special part of the play in that we don't have to suspend that disbelief. We can just be part of the music together, and the actors and the characters on stage are aware that the music is happening. The audience is part of that moment as well, and it's been such a blast to learn all these tunes. All of my songs, my character songs, are written by Mark Hurd, who passed away a number of years ago, but was roommates with our playwright Tim Alderson. And man, just the absolute love and respect that Tim and our music director, the incomparable Colin Linden, the just absolute love and respect they have for Mark and Mark's music has just been a real honor for me to get in there and really sink my teeth into that process, and just live in that world for a while. I've really been enjoying it.
The music is all music that come from actual artists, maybe not famously known artists, but they are real songs written from real artists, country and blues artists. Mark Hurd is one of them. He wrote most of the songs within the piece. Mark Hurd is a former friend of the writer Tim Alderson. Tim Alderson and him. Tim used to be in the music business, AR director, you know, working with artists, you know, some years ago in his younger years. And Mark was one of his closest friends. Mark passed away some time ago. And so Tim used these songs as kind of the undercurrent or the spine of this play. There are other musicians that have songs in it, but Mark Hurd is the main one. And so it's just wonderfully woven into the journey of an artist again, and songwriters, and you know, in the play, the young man and the disturbed man, they play their guitars in the bar. So it's live music. It's real musicianship. They sing the songs live. So without any microphones or anything, it's just an intimate conversation. It's like songwriters sharing songs with one another and you know, discussing life and their journey. So it's a really unique and special piece, beautifully crafted by Tim. And again, audiences are enjoying it. To read it moves you, and to experience it is you know, just even a step further than that.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate in my life to be friends with some very talented people, and so the principal songwriters are Mark Hurd and Pat Terry, and I met Mark and Pat both back in the '80s when, right out of college, actually while I was still in college, I went to work for a booking agency. We booked concert tours for artists, mostly either at the beginning of or some crossroads in their career, or the people that I was working with. And that's how I met Mark and Pat, initially just as their booking agents. And we became really good friends, especially at the time, Mark, because he lived here in LA. Pat is lives in Atlanta. And anyway, so Mark is just one of the most brilliant songwriters. You know, he passed away several years ago. And I don't remember whether it was Paste Magazine or Rolling Stone, somebody, and it was on the anniversary of his death, somebody did an article or something like the best songwriter you never heard of. And they put him in the company of, they said he was, you know, what was the word? Well, it doesn't matter. They put him in the company of Bob Dylan, Townes Van Zandt, you know, Leonard Cohen, that level of songwriter. And Pat had a solo career for a while, but ultimately settled down in Nashville as a songwriter. So he wrote a lot of hit songs for other artists, you know, major artists that we've all heard of, songs that we all know, and so that's his life as a career as a songwriter. So these two guys were really great songwriters. And so as I was writing this thing and decided that this young Harley was a musician and the old guy was once upon a time an aspiring musician, songwriter. And so I started just as placeholders using my friends' songs. And then it's kind of like when a tree grows around a fence, you know, the more I left them in their place, the more they became integral to the story. And it all just made perfect sense. And it was all just kind of magic. And Pat was very happy to be involved. Mark's wife was very happy to have the music involved. And then Pat and I did some writing together, and all that's there. Also, the older character we learned that his context, we learned he's a fan of country music. So when the young guy first enters the bar, the old guy is sitting there playing bits and pieces of Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, and stuff like that. So yeah, I just happened to have the fortune in life to have two of my closest friends also be two of the best songwriters anybody would want to hear. So that worked out well.